Hello and welcome back to My Own Worst Enemy. We are going to take a quick look at the Road to Independence, the American Revolution 1775 to 1783. This is from designer Stephen L. Kling Jr. and it is given to us by Blue Panther Games. And you'll note on the box right away that it says it's an introductory level strategic war game. So this is not a super detailed recreation of the American Revolution. This is a very high level game, and you'll see that when we see the map. It's very easy to play, quick playing, but it does appear that it will be a lot of fun. This also is by the Historical Game Company. So we've seen some stuff from Stephen Kling Jr. here before on the channel. I've got a couple of the games that Blue Panther has printed for them. And just taking at the look on the back here, the Road to Independence, it says. The unique thing about this, and this I think might be a first for Blue Panther, at least it's a first for me from Blue Panther, there are custom dice in here. So that is going to be very interesting to take a look at. Of course, you'll get some counters, the Blue Panther counters, and some cards. And 1 to 2 players, 60 to 90 minutes, so very quick playing. Game contents, a 22 by 17 map, so a little bit smaller map. Player aid, 28 poker-sized event cards and 38 poker-sized location cards, 61 5/8 of an inch counter, 20 plus custom dice, and a rule book. So let's just jump in. We'll take a look at the components real quick, and then I will set this thing up and we'll do a turn or two to see how it plays. So right off, we are seeing those cards and the dice. So let's start with the dice. So like I said, this is something that seems new from Blue Panther to me. I don't think I've seen this before. And actually, from what I'm seeing just in the bag here, these look pretty impressive. So I'm going to just pull a handful out here and we'll take a look at them together. Here you can see what these dice look like. Very nice. These are really nice D6 style dice. And it says you get 20 plus, I thought it said. And I think that's probably what we're seeing. So this will determine how you attack and capture these locations, and we'll look at that in just a second. Let me just get these out of the way. I'll just slide them across here. So I'm impressed by those dice. That's cool. And then here are the cards. So there are 2 decks of these, it said, and there's location cards and event cards. So I'm going to just open up one of these really quick, and we'll take a look at what we get. These are the British event cards. So there's the backs of these cards. And we'll flip them over now and just take a quick look here. The 14th colony, and it's basically just what it says there. So you've got some events on there, and there's some historical information on the bottom, so that's always nice to see when you're being taught some history along with the gameplay. So these are nice cards. These are the higher quality poker style cards, which will of course be sleeved at some point. And now let's take just a quick look at what's inside the location card deck. And so here we have the Spanish location. So there are Spanish and French in the game. There's the British locations, the American locations. It doesn't look like there's any French locations, but I think that's probably historically accurate for the game. And here's the actual locations, and we'll see these on the map. And these, you'll note that the dice that we looked at, these symbols are on these locations. And how you will take these locations will depend on the outcome of the die rolls. And you're trying to basically match the symbols to take these locations. So an interesting new battle mechanic, and like I said, you can tell this is very high level. Oh, what's the yellow card back there? Let's take a very high level Revolutionary War game. So these would be the Spanish locations. I thought I saw Pensacola in there, which was British, but ended up falling into the Spanish hands, if I recall correctly. Got a whole game on that somewhere around here I need to play. Anyway, that's the cards. So we took a look at those. We'll continue to go into the box here. And we have a combat example. And this is just what I was talking about. So you're going to roll the dice and you're going to try to match the dice that you roll. You're going to try to fill the card in. And if you fill the card in, then you're going to take that location. So in this case, they're telling you that Fort Pitt starts off empty, and they're rolling these dice, and in the end they were able to match and take Fort Pitt. And we'll see that when we play through how that works. Some important rules to remember, and then dice groupings by theater, the Wilderness Theater, the Eastern Theater. So what this is is determining what number of dice that the attackers and defenders will use based upon which theater they're fighting in. So the Eastern Theater, of course, would be your cities along the East Coast. Wilderness Theater would be out, just as it says, out more towards the west in the wilderness areas. And we will continue to dive into this. This is the rule book. This is a Blue Panther, typical Blue Panther rule book, which is good because it's the paper that's glossy and will stand up to the test of time and flipping and all that kind of good stuff. Not a lot of rules. This is a very rules-like game. The font is very large in this, so it's easy to read. And there you can see an explanation of the dice, the events, the locations, the game map, which we'll take a look at in just a second. Very basic setup. The turn sequence, straightforward. So again, they tell you on the tin, this is an introductory level war game. So if you've got somebody you want to introduce to wargaming, Christmas is coming up, the holidays, this might make a good gift for a potential wargamer. And probably for younger wargamers as well. This is not a complicated game at all to learn. And so now let's take a look at the counters. And there's only half a counter sheet really. And again, it's the Blue Panther counters, the newer counters that are printed such that you don't get the really obvious nibs that you kind of used to get with the Blue Panther counters. There's only one counter that has a backside to it, and that's the turn marker. But very few counters, again, to go with this game in keeping with its high-level grand strategic overview. So let's take a look at the map now and see if I can get it all on screen here. Flatten it out a bit. So it's a nice map, a nice basic map, and you can tell you're sitting on this end of the table looking along the east coast of the United States, or what will become the United States if the Americans win. Florida is down here, so you come up along the east coast, and Canada, of course, will be back up here. Like I said, this is your Eastern Theater, so this is where all your larger cities and colonies are going to be. The Western Theater is going to be back here in the wilderness, of course, and you can see that it extends all the way down to New Orleans, which is actually way up here on the map. So you can have, and there's the yellow lines I'm sure are going to represent Spanish movement along the Gulf Coast. And you've got a turn track marker and a British victory point track. Your Spain and your French at peace markers will go down here. Sequence of play is up here for both players. And the map key is here. So there you go. We've done a quick unboxing. So what I'm going to do now is I will set the game up and we will actually play through a turn or two so you can see how the combat works, how you take these locations, what the victory conditions are, and what you need to know in order to decide whether or not you'd like to purchase this game. So I've got the game set up and I'm going to walk you now through exactly what I did. It's only 8 steps. It is the 8 steps that are in the rule book here. So number 1 tells you to place the map out between the 2 players, or in my case, in front of the only player, and to familiarize yourself with the locations and the victory points and what you need to do to win the game. So basically, we talked about the 2 theaters. The Eastern Theater, of course, are the boxes that have green backgrounds. The Wilderness Theater have these brown backgrounds. So that's how you tell the difference between the theaters. The victory points are in these stars that are by these squares. The squares, of course, represent cities, forts, things like that. You can also have ports that are along the coast. That will be for the English to attack from the sea if they roll correctly. We'll talk about that when we get there. Victory points, to win the game, the British basically have to get, I think it is, let's see, what did it say? 30. So the British have to have 30 victory points. They're already at 25, but they must control 4 of the 7 special locations. Now the special locations are the ones with the red stars. So they must own 4 of those and have 30 victory points to win the game. The Patriots basically must stop the British from doing that. So that's, and then of course there's map key. So the map key is going to basically tell us that you can attack from a location that you hold along a valid path. Trails and roads are these dotted lines. There's a special wilderness road here that only the Americans can use. There's this special connection that the Spanish will use. Rivers are also valid connections, so pay attention to those. Turn track is here. There are 10 turns. with some special events that take place kind of in the middle. You have the French, the Spanish that can enter the war, that will enter the war, and you have the von Steuben training, which will give the Patriots an extra blue D6 to attack with. What else? So we placed the markers telling us that the British do have their 25 points. Right now, that'll change as the boxes change hands. Then it says each player should shuffle their event cards and place the stack down in front of them. I've got the American event cards shuffled in here. They're not sleeved yet. They will be at some point. Really, it's not necessary to sleeve the cards in this game, though, because you only have location cards, and you're only going to use those to fight your battles with, and it's basically a duplicate of what's on the board. So not really any hidden information there. And there's only 15 event cards for each. The British are over here, and of course their location cards are here as well. So I may not even sleeve this one. We'll see. I probably will, because I just like to sleeve everything. I think it protects the cards much better when you do that. And then it says you should take your dice and organize them. So I have the dice set to the side. The British get 1 red naval die. They get 4 regular red die. They get Hessian dies that are black. And these dice are, I think they called these green. And let me double check that. Yeah, they say 4 green dice. That's not green to me. That is like a cross between yellow and green. It looks like puke mustard. But those are the greens, so they're out. Then, of course, the Americans will get, to start with, they'll get 3 of these regulars and then 4 of these brown militia dice, we'll call them. Now, there are Indians represented in all these D6s, and that depends on the symbol that you roll, but it doesn't have a whole lot of meaning in this game unless it comes up something special in the event card. And I also put the French have 2 white D6 and the Spanish have 3. When they come into the game, we'll pull those dice into the game. And when we get to the point where the Americans bring in their additional blue D6, we'll get that into the game as well. So those are the dice. And then the other thing is you're going to get 3 attack chits per side, and then you're going to get what they call garrison units. And the British have 4 of those. The Americans have 3, and these will come into play in the strategic turn of the game, or the strategic phase of the game, I should say, and we'll see that here shortly. So that's it as far as setup goes. I've got the dice tower is over here, of course, and I'll put the location cards here when I pull them, when we fight the battles. There are some things to note. The British start first, so the turn marker has a British side. It has an American side. Starts with the British, though. They will go first. These garrison markers will not get placed until the active side is in their strategic move phase, and we'll see that happen once the British hit that. And what else? So for this first turn, there will be no British naval die roll. I'm going to go ahead and put the D6 into the British naval die roll box, showing that they do have naval movement this turn. It's automatic, should they choose to use that. Another thing about the British is they cannot attack wilderness theater objectives in the first turn, or they also cannot attack Spanish-held locations. And that they can't attack the Spanish-held locations, not just in the first turn, but until the Spanish are actually at war with the British. So that's it for setup. Like I said, it is not a complex game at all. This is a very good introductory war game for people. So let's go ahead and start. We'll start with the sequence of play. And we've talked about the first thing the British would do is conduct naval move die roll. You would roll this, and if you get a ship, you can conduct naval movement, which is basically you can attack through ports. If you roll a blank, no naval move that turn. So again, first turn, naval moves are automatic, so they will get that option. The next thing to do is draw an event card. So we'll draw a British event card. It is their turn. And it is Hessian Mercenaries. I'll let you see that card. I can hold it on camera here. And so it says that the British player may re-roll 1 Hessian die, that's the black one, 1 time for each location attack in the Eastern Theater during this turn. That's actually good because remember, we can't attack the Wilderness Theater, but we can certainly attack the Western or the Eastern Theater. I'm going to put this card here to remind me that that is in play. So we've pulled our event card. Now we go to identify locations to attack. So this is where we take our 3 British attack chits and we will place them in boxes we wish to attack. Now remember, to attack the box, you must be able to trace a path to the box. We're going to ignore the Western Theater for now because we cannot attack at the first turn. But if you look on the Eastern Theater, you're looking for these dotted lines, which are the roads or trails, rivers, that also give us paths. So Fort Ticonderoga is here. You'll note that there is a river leading down to Albany. So we could attack Albany. That would be a valid attack. And there's several roads, and I don't see very many rivers over here. And we must have a path from an area we already own. So basically, we're going to have to look at where we can attack from. We also have St. Augustine over here, so I could potentially attack Savannah if I choose to do so. And I might want to do that, actually. The symbols on the boxes or in the boxes, those are basically what you're going to have to roll when you attack. You're going to have to match those. We're going to see that in just a second. So you'll note that there are different values in all the squares. So some of these locations are much tougher to take than others. That's something else I've got to consider. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump into this though so we can get a feel for how the game plays. I think I will attack. I'm going to put one attack location. We're going to attack Savannah from St. Augustine. So I can trace. There is a road or trail there that leads from St. Augustine to Savannah. So that's valid. I think I will, let's see, I was going to attack Concord, but I cannot do that because Fort Ticonderoga leads to Albany. Let's attack Albany. We have a river path to Albany. We can do that, and it's a two-point victory location for us. So let's do that. And I'm going to attack out of Quebec into Maine. So there is a road there. So that is it. I put my 3 attack markers out indicating where I wish to conduct attack. Now we go into combat. So for combat, I'm going to turn to the rules section, page 10 for combat. It's very simple once you get the hang of it. And I'm looking because you'll get a set number of dice based on which theater you're in. And in this case, usually you get 7 of these dice most of the times. I think events will change that, but it will be 7 dice. What I'm looking at though is the colors will change. The colors are different for which dice you can pull into this. And there's a nice, let me see if I can grab it, but there's a nice player's aid card that tells you dice by grouping or by theater, and it shows you exactly which colors you can use. So if I'm attacking, and you can pick to attack in any order. We've got 3. I can choose to attack wherever I want in any order. I'm going to start with Savannah. Let's start with Savannah first. So that is the Eastern Theater. And the Eastern Theater, for the British attacking, it says that we will get 4 red d6, 2 black d6, and 1 green d6. So we're going to get our 4 regulars, our 2 Hessians, and our, what did I say, 1 loyalist. So that should be 7, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is, so we're correct there. We will now attack Savannah. So I'm going to grab the location deck for the Americans because the Americans currently own Savannah. And these are currently in alphabetical order, so that makes it a little easier to find. So there's Savannah. And I'm going to put the Savannah card out so that we can see the attack in progress. I'm going to move these dice out of the way for now. I'm going to put the card down that we're attacking. So the way this is going to work, we are going to roll all 7 of these attack dice for the Eastern Theater. We're going to try to match, there's 3 columns here, or 3 rows, I should say, that we're trying to match with these dice. The garrison box is if there were a garrison in Savannah, then we would be able to move that garrison into the garrison box. It would add another infantry or 2 to the what we have to roll. But there's nobody in Savannah right now. So we're going to roll the first set of dice, so the first 7 dice, and we're going to try to match up the rows if we can. You only do it 1 row at a time. And when you're placing these dice, this is important too. So if you look, I have rolled, I don't think it was a very good roll here, so well, maybe it was actually, I shouldn't say that. If you look, I can actually complete, I can't complete the top row because I did not roll a fortress marker. I can't complete the second row because I have neither artillery nor cavalry. But I do have 4 infantry markers, so I can mark the row 4 with 4 points worth of infantry. I can definitely do that. The way I want to do it though, you're going to re-roll these dice. And so whatever you put down, of course, you will not be re-rolling. So you want to keep as many dice in your hand as you can. So in other words, I wouldn't want to put down a 2 infantry d6 and 2 single infantry d6s. That would meet the requirement for 4 infantry to fill that row. But I've got another 2 D6 infantry there. So I can put down either 2 dice or I can put down 3 dice to meet this requirement to fill the row. I definitely want to go with the lowest number of dice so that I can re-roll this and have more opportunity to get more symbols come up. So I'm going to use these two infantries. That's 4, and 4 is what we need to fill that row. Put them on the card to show, yep, I've completed that bottom row. Remember, there's no garrison, so we're good there. And since we were successful, we can re-roll the dice that are left over. And again, we're going to re-roll these, and we're trying to fill one of the rows. So let's see if we can do that. And we can definitely do that. And it looks like I'm just going to go ahead and pick the fortress marker. So now all we need to do is fill this middle row to take Savannah. So now I've got 4 dice left to do that with. So here we go. And I don't have it. So when you don't have it, in fact, none of these symbols match, even if only one matched, wouldn't matter. I've got to be able to complete the row. So what you do in a case like this, where you cannot complete the row, you subtract a d6 and you get to roll again. You get another chance. And I roll again. And in this case, I was not able to do it. I did roll, well, I didn't. Oh yeah, I did. I rolled the cavalry. I rolled 2 cavalries. So I have enough to fill 1 block, but I don't have artillery. I cannot fill the other block. So I have to give up another d6, and I'm get another opportunity to try to roll an artillery and a cavalry to fill the box. And I didn't do it. So that's going to be pretty much the battle because I take away another d6. I only have 1 now. I can't fill 2 boxes with 1 roll. So that is going to be it. We've failed our attempt to capture Savannah. So we'll move well, let's just keep the dice here. We're going to need them again. We've got 2 more attacks to conduct. So the Savannah card, Savannah did not change hands. I'm going to put the Savannah card back into the deck alphabetically because it's easier to find them when you do that. So Savannah goes back. We remove the British attack marker because the attack into Savannah failed. And now we go to, let's just go to Albany. So we'll find that location card, put it out. Now we're trying to take Albany. So we do the same thing again. Looking for a little bit different this time. We're looking for fort, artillery, and then we got 3 infantry and then 4 infantry. Again, there are no garrisons, so we don't have to worry about that. 4 reds, 2 blacks, and a green. And I wish the dice were green instead of puke, whatever that is. So here we go. Our first roll. And so what does that say? I'm having a hard time seeing it from way back here. I do have enough to fill the 4 infantry. I could also fill the 3 with just 1 d6. It's probably going to be hard to get 4 infantry though. I'm kind of torn here. I either want to put down the 3 or the 4. I'm going to put down let's put down the 4. I'm going to fill the 4 row. And remember, I can choose any infantry. Well, wait a minute here. What did I have? That was a 2. No, yeah. Let's go ahead and put down the 4. And this is got to be careful here, guys. I don't want to give up the red dice either because let me think about this. The red dice are stronger than the others, so I may not want to put those out. So let's fill up well, I'm agonizing because this is tough. This is tough to do. You want to be able to get these locations and you want to leave yourself enough dice to make it easier to take the location. I am going to put down, I'm going to keep the red. I got to put down a red d6 anyway, so let's just put down the 3. All right, so I put down the 3. That satisfies this 3rd row. And I roll again. No need to subtract dice here because I was successful. All right. So here comes the next attack. And there's another 3, but there's no more infantry, so I can't fill the 4 box. So now I'm regretting probably not doing that, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and put out a fortress marker. So now I filled the top row. I still need to fill rows 2 and 4 to take Albany. So you can see that this is really a game within the game, trying to fill out these location cards with these special dice. Okay, and so this is actually a pretty good roll. I'm going to take these two. There's a 3 infantry and a 1 infantry. That will satisfy that bottom row. And we have to roll again. Now remember, we have to roll again. If we had an artillery unit showing we couldn't put it down, we still have to roll. So all I need now is an artillery symbol to come up to beat Albany. And there it is. So we take the artillery symbol. That now makes Albany Ayers. It falls. So we take a control marker for the British. And that will go into Albany to show now that we control it. We gain 2 victory points, so that's going to bring our victory points total up to 7. And I'll move the attack marker out of the way. We'll get our dice out of the way. And so now this Albany card is in possession of the British. I'm just going to stick it over here. So we know Albany is now owned by the British. We've adjusted our victory points, and we continue along with, let's see, we've got to remove the main attack marker now. So we're attacking into Maine. Let me put that back for a second and grab the Maine card. And here it is. So there's Maine. I'm going to just put these cards so that I can put that back easier. So again, it's the same dice. The 4 red regulars, the 2 black Hessians, and the puke green loyalists. And we are attacking Maine. And you can see this is going to be a little, well, is it going to be tougher? Probably, because you got to get 5 infantry and then 4 infantry, so we'll see. So here comes the attack. And so there is 3 and 4, so we could fill the 4. Let's do that. So the green and the black dice equal 4, and we roll again. And so now we have plenty of infantry, so we can actually satisfy this one down here. So let's do that. There's 5 points worth of infantry. We have the Hessians again, and then the British regulars. Now we've got to roll again. We're just looking for an artillery symbol at this point. And we do not get it, so I'm going to pull out a D6. Now we're down to 2. We get to roll again. Didn't do it, so we're going to pull out another D6. I got 1 more shot at this. Would suck not to take it after doing so well in the second and third columns, or rows. And I don't get it, so I failed. I failed to take Maine, so this is going to go back into the deck, or the location deck, I should say. The attack marker comes off, and Maine stays in the hands of the Americans. So that is going to be it for the British combat phase. I'll put the dice back. Wasn't too bad. They were able to grab Albany there. So grabbing Albany will let us now threaten New York, Concord, and Wyoming Valley over here. All right, so going down the sequence of play, we did combat. Now we go to strategic move. So strategic move, you're going to grab your, if I can grab them here. We're going to grab our garrison markers. Now the British have 2 2-strength garrison markers and 2 1-strength garrison markers. And I'm going to point something out here, and hopefully Blue Panther is listening, and this can be corrected in future prints of games. These counters all came single-sided, and on the back sides they're blank. I would have loved to have seen, I know it's a minor complaint, but I would love to have seen Blue Panther print the same information on the back side, even though it's the same, because when you flip these, it just makes it less fiddly to try to find the marker. So when you flip them all over, you know, it doesn't matter what I grab, I can see what I've got. Here, being printed on one side, you kind of have to fiddle to get your markers righted to see what's going on. All right, so now that we are in the strategic move phase, you take your garrison counters and you can put them into any location that you want. So I'm going to place the 2s first. You can only put 1 in a location at a time. And I'm going to put I'm going to put a 2 in Savannah. I'm thinking it's going to be important to hold a southern front on the East Coast. And I've got another 2. I've got to be careful. I don't want the Americans attacking, say, like Quebec here. So we probably ought to put something in Quebec and even Nova Scotia. Those are 4 and 2 victory points there. I've also got to watch the Wilderness Theater as well. And we don't want them to cut us off either. You got to make sure you have to have a line of supply. You can't have an area that's isolated. That's going to make things difficult for you. So you got to pay attention to that as well. We're not there yet. I realize I'm just pointing that out. I'm going to put a size 1 garrison in Fort Niagara there. And they can't get to Montreal without going through Fort Ticonderoga. So I'm going to put a garrison in Fort Ticonderoga, and then I'm going to put this other garrison in Quebec. So now when we go through this, and then the Americans will go through their turn, when we hit this phase again, we can pick these up and put them back down anywhere we wish in the strategic move phase. So that is it for the strategic move. And now it says to flip the game turn marker over, and it's the Americans' turn. So we take our turn marker, which is down here. I'm going to flip that over to the American side. It's still turn 1, 1775. We'll remove the event card. So that one's been played. It is now out of the game. And we go to the Americans. They start with a special event check. So the special events are, is France at war, is Spain at war, or is the von Steuben training event in effect? And we're not there yet, so no. Next thing to do is draw an event card then. So we grab an event card from the American deck. Local French Heritage Militia. The American player may reroll 1 auxiliary die in any one location attack in the Wilderness Theater during this turn. So basically I get to roll one of these brown die in a wilderness battle. So we'll put that here to remind us that that is in play. And now we must identify where we want to attack. So I'm going to grab my 3 American attack markers. And that is what they look like. So those are going to go into the board where I wish the Americans to attack. So I could try to take Albany back if I wanted to do that. I think I probably want to take advantage of the local French Heritage Militia card, though. Maybe attack the British somewhere in the Wilderness Theater. And looking, there's a 2 victory point location up here. And I might want to do that. Could also try to knock them out of St. Augustine. They do have that garrison now, but that may not be much of a factor. I don't know. Well, let's try it. You can see how a garrison attack would work. Let's see if the Americans can take St. Augustine, and then let's have them march to Fort Detroit. They'll try there, and I've got 1 more attack marker left to place. And we could try to take Albany back. Let's do it. Let's try to take Albany back. And no, I have not played this game enough to know where I should be attacking and not attacking. So keep that in mind. All right, so I've got my locations identified. Now we go into combat. So again, I'm going to start, let's start with St. Augustine. It is actually a wilderness theater. So this event card comes into play. And let's see how many dice we get. And actually, let me grab the player's aid card for that. So we are in the wilderness. The Americans get 3 of the regulars and 4 of the brown dice. We are attacking St. Augustine. I've got to find that card. And the British hold it. So let's look in their location deck and place that. So here's St. Augustine. And put those cards back down. Okay, so now we have St. Augustine has 2 garrison, or a value 2 infantry garrison, I should say. So that is the level 2 garrison. There is only 1 garrison box, so it has to go down here. Now, if there were 2 garrison boxes, we could choose where to place this, but there's only 1, so it goes into here. So in order to satisfy the bottom row, row 4, I have to have 4 infantry points, or 4 infantry symbols to satisfy that. So here we go. The Americans are attacking St. Augustine. And I do have enough infantry to satisfy that, but again, well, no, wait, there's a 3 infantry, so this actually worked out pretty darn good. So let's go ahead and satisfy that with a 3 and a 1. So that's 4, and that meets row number 4 now, so we do satisfy that. That was actually pretty good. We pick up the remaining dice, and now we're going to roll again. Looking for cavalry, artillery, or fort. And we get none of those. We roll all infantry. So I've got to give up a d6. I'm going to grab one of the brown ones. And we roll the remainder, looking for a fort, artillery, or cavalry. And we do get artillery, thank goodness. So that's going to solve or fill row 2. And we re-roll the remaining 3. And it's all, oh no, there's a cavalry unit right there. So we've got rows 2, 3, and 4 are filled. We've got 2 dice. So we're going to re-roll. We're looking for that fort symbol. We don't get it, so I'm going to pull one more die, and then we've got 1 left. We've got to get the fort symbol to take St. Augustine. And we don't. We were so close. We rolled a cavalry. So we do not take Fort Augustine. And I want to check to see real quick if that garrison actually is removed, because we did manage to solve that. So it looks like the garrison unit will stay in St. Augustine because St. Augustine did not fall. So that first American attack was a failure. We'll put our garrison back into St. Augustine, and we will put our location card back in the deck. For the British, of course. So that was resolved. Now we're going to the next battle, which is in, well, let's go up here to Fort Detroit. And I will find that is in the hands of the British again. So let's grab Fort Detroit. There it is. No garrison there. It's the same dice because we're still in the Wilderness Theater. And let's see what we get. So let's go ahead and grab a 3. And that will be our 3 infantry points in that bottom row. Grab our dice again and roll. And there's 2. So there's 2 infantry in... So wait a second here. No, I don't think that's right. We can't do that. So something else I've got to be careful of here is there are different types of infantry. So the symbols in Fort Detroit are actually Native American infantry symbols. So I have to have 2 Native American, and I'm just double checking the one at the bottom there, make sure it wasn't Native American. It's not. You want to match the symbols to the infantry too. So in this case, I've got to pull these 2 brown Native American matching symbols to fill that row. And I hope I didn't mess that up when I did, when I was filling these other ones. It doesn't matter because St. Augustine didn't fall anyway. So you got to watch that. Hopefully I didn't do it over here either. But no, I don't think I did because those are both regulars. Okay, so we filled those. We roll again. And there's an artillery, but we're looking for a fort symbol. So we've got to get rid of one of the D6. Now we're down to 3. We're going to roll again. And there it is. So we take Fort Detroit. And let me grab an American control marker. So now this falls to the Americans. That's 2 victory points that comes off of the British victory point track. So now they're back down to 25. And that was our second attack. And now let's get this out of the way. So Fort Detroit is now in the American hands. I'm just going to put it over here. And we are going to Albany. So let me grab the Albany card again. Now again, there is, well no, I was going to say there's a garrison there, but there's not. It's just in British hands. So we got our dice again, and we are in the Eastern Theater now, so let's make sure we have the right dice. And it is the same number of dice, so it's 3 blue, same as Wilderness for the Americans. 3 blue and 4 of the militia units. And we are looking to recapture Albany here. And, wow, no infantry. Only 1 infantry. And it's not even the right kind. So let's go ahead and put the fort marker out. We'll satisfy that first row. And we'll roll again. And there's 2, but that's not enough for the 3rd and 4th row. So let's go ahead and put out the artillery. And re-roll the remainder d6. And let's see, we're looking for either 3 or 4 infantry. And we don't roll anything we need. Again, we rolled an infantry, but if you look, that infantry is a Native American symbol. And we are looking for the regulars. So I got to get rid of a d6 and roll again. So we'll get rid of that one. And roll again. It's going to be a little tougher to take Albany. So there's a 3. Now that 3 will fill the 3rd row. It's the right matches. It's regular 3. And we get to roll again. So now we just need 4 regular infantry to take Albany back. And we only get 1. I'm going to take another die away. We've got 2 more dice to do this with. I don't even know if it's possible with 2. And nope, so we got to pull, and I don't think we can do it. We've only got 1 left, and I think it only has a 3 on it, so unfortunately, we will not retake Albany. That stays in the hands of the British, and our attack marker comes back out. That is it, and I think I forgot to do this. I think I forgot to re-roll. So that's unfortunate, but it doesn't matter because we were able to, well, it would have helped over here, I believe, but we still managed to take Fort Detroit. So that event card is used. I'm going to put it out of the way, out of the game. Put it up here. So we've conducted combat. Now we do strategic move for the Americans. They only get 3 of the garrison counters. So there's their 3. They get 1, 2, and 2 1s. And we can place these wherever we choose. And with the British in Albany now, I've got to be real careful with New York and Philadelphia. Now they can't get to Philadelphia, but they can come through New York. I'm going to put the 2 in New York. I've also got to be careful too because of the naval attacks that they could potentially conduct into Yorktown or Wilmington or any of these cities, really, Boston. And I'm going to put, let's see. I'm going to put 1 in Savannah because I still think the British want to come up through the East Coast from the south. And then this other marker I'm going to put into, this Wyoming Valley here. And does that leave Philadelphia open? No, they have to go through Wyoming Valley to get back into Philadelphia. So I'm going to leave it there. All right, so that is strategic move for the Americans. And now we go to advance the game turn marker. The game turn marker on American, you flip it back to British and advance it to the summer of 1776. The British naval die comes out and we are ready to start turn number 2. However, I'm going to stop it here because you saw a complete turn. I probably will do another turn or 2. Don't know if I'll finish the entire game. Maybe I will. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see me play entirely through this game. It is a very fast playing game. It is a fun game. I think, like I said 100 times before, this is a good introductory game. This is also a fun game if you just want to take it to a convention or a multiplayer, take it to your friends, your war game groups, weekly or monthly game, and have something to do between turns while the main game is going on. Have this going on the side. It's small enough that you could take this, throw it in your luggage, and carry it on a trip with you. Make a great stocking stuffer for Christmas. The combat is interesting. It's it's almost like a game within itself. You're really looking to complete the number of symbols that are on the city or fort that you're attacking. So that's kind of fun. So it's kind of entertaining to fight through that. All right, again, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel if you have not. And there's a Patreon page I've got set up if you'd really like to support the channel. That would be awesome. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you back here next time.